Good evening. I'd like to call the Planning Commission meeting for July 26th to order at 5:34. We stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call?
Judy Mayo.
Andy Mark,
Carl Munson.
And the guy over there.
oh, sorry, Kevin
Kevin Tuig.
and Sunny Withers. So we all got the email from Joe David Belize. Yes. But I don't have the absence approval form. Or do I need it? Oh, okay, so we all know why he's not able to attend today.
What was that?
Joe David Belize will not be able to attend today because he's dealing with family matters. Do I have a motion? A motion to accept his absence?
Oh, so move.
I second. Oops. The motion to excuse his absence is approved. Do we need to do anything else with that?
You need to move for a vote.
Okay. Oh, yes, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved, so made. Okay. Are there any agenda additions to the agenda?
There was a request from Tammy to be put on the agenda for today. Then there was the email. My opinion is we should stick it on the agenda, her thing, so that we can just discuss again whether we should look at it or not for the CAO. Yeah. That the 8 amendments that she has suggested. Did you see that in the email here and that she
No.
from today? And that's why I would
We
like
have a
to,
hard copy. Everybody has a hard copy there.
right. But that's why I would like to put it on the agenda so we can put it on next month's agenda. Have a month to look at it, see what we think in that, and then make a decision next month.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Carl, I hadn't had the chance to read your response. Lisa's response. Who? Your response to Tammy's.
Yes, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Carl has not had a chance to read it.
It was just to provide information, so you can make an informed decision.
Right.
That's pretty much, I'd like to add it today so we can have a month to look at it and decide next month whether we want to do something with it or not. Is what I make a motion, that's what I should say, that we put it on the agenda for today.
And what are we exactly going to be looking at?
At her 8 amendments.
That's a
Right.
lot.
No, not today. We're not going to look at that today.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. We need to put it on the agenda today so we can say, I want it on the agenda for next month. And we have a month to read it, look at it, and decide. I'm not saying we need to read it today. It's too much.
so what exactly is going on the agenda?
Okay,
I don't understand. You're gonna make a motion to make.
I make a motion that we add Tammy's, I don't know what would we call it? What would we say? Amendment review, CAO review, amendment review.
That we. I don't know how to word it. Judy.
Would CAO amendment review work? Would that be, okay? So I'd like to make an amendment that we add the CAO amendment review to the agenda for today.
said he wanted to make an amendment to make an amendment. You need to make a motion.
I thought I just made a motion, okay.
You started it, I want to make an amendment.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, so I'd like to make a motion to put the CAO amendment review on this agenda for today. Is that good? Did I?
So you're gonna have her read this whole thing to us today? Is that?
No. I'm gonna just look at it today, or should I just make a motion to put it on next month's agenda? Okay,
Yeah.
I make a motion, we add it to next month's agenda, so we have this month to look at it and we can come educated next month.
Okay. I believe most of the things came up last meeting.
Yes.
To be added to the
It did,
agenda.
but we didn't have all the info from her.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion to put Tammy's CAO packet on the agenda for next month?
I'd like to speak to the motion.
Pardon me?
I said I'd like to speak to the motion.
Oh, yes, please speak to the motion, Kevin.
I just want to say that I thought we discussed at our last meeting that this was going to come up in the regular course of business next year, and that there was really not much to be accomplished by taking it on twice. So my impression was we were going to leave it until it came up in the regular course of business in 26. That's my comment.
Thank you. That was my understanding also.
It is what happened at the meeting. I'd just like to
Okay.
readdress
We don't seem to have a second
No.
approval, so your request is not passed.
Motions.
Oh, your motion is not passed. So, next is interested citizens, audience request and
Sorry,
Sorry.
I know it's not clear on the agenda, but you need to approve the agenda as it.
oh, right, it is on my agenda, but I didn't read it.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Next is interested citizens, audience requests and comment. Yes. I believe you have 5 minutes once you get to the podium.
Tammy Robertson, medical aid president. Since the new commissioners are not here in person today, I will probably bring up my questions to them at the next meeting. I found an extremely interesting article on MRSC's website dealing with recent court decisions of interest to local governments, which a city may want to investigate to make sure they comply. It's a September 2020 case, Rigby Environmental Action Network versus Island County, which dealt with sufficiency of a critical areas ordinance. Counties critical areas ordinance failed to comply with best available science and provided too much unchecked discretion to planning director to waive site assessments. And a few highlights include the court also agreed that the authority given to the planning director to waive a biological site assessment is contrary to law because it gives the director nearly unfettered discretion with no restrictions. This is contrary to the GMA because it does not ensure adequate protections of critical areas and contrary to the WAC, which requires a precautionary approach when waiving requirements that protect critical areas. Okay, each county, okay, this is in accordance with RCW 3679A 470. Each county and city planning under RCW 3670A 040 shall include in the development regulations procedures for any interested person, including applicants, citizens, hearing examiners, and staff of other agencies to suggest plan or development regulation amendments. Okay, and this is in accordance with Medical Lake Code 17.56.45. The regulations found in Title 17 zoning, which is where the critical areas is listed, is subject to the Growth Management Act of RCW 3670. Any ordinance, and this is 3563-120, any ordinance or resolution adopting any such plan or regulations or any part thereof may be amended, supplemented, or modified by subsequent ordinance or resolution. Okay. So basically, you guys don't have to wait until next year, which is going to be a sad thing because who knows what's going to happen with development. But anyway, that's beyond. Oh. Thank you. Oh, and I'm going to be leaving as soon as I'm finished with my comments, since it is past her bedtime and I'm extremely tired and not knowing what. Thank you for your understanding.
Would you like to leave now?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let you leave
Well, thank you.
without me continuing, unless you want me to continue.
It's up to you.
Okay. I just want to make sure everyone saw the new minutes that Elisa, the revised minutes.
I'd move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Make a,
Well, I just want to make sure Carl saw them.
I am looking at the minutes that I have. I don't know if they're the new minutes or the old.
be with your hand, should be with the handout that came in a hard copy.
Oh.
No.
No?
This is what. Here it is, here it is.
Thanks.
You're welcome. There was just one item. And there, for some reason, there's 2 pages of this. There's the
This-
same.
Once the agenda,
This is not,
one minute.
this is not May. This is June.
This is June's agenda, and then, right,
No, this is May.
That we're approving today.
yeah, we're doing
That's
May.
what you're talking about.
Right.
Yes, yes. So to simplify things, if you had any comments on the agenda items that were corrected by Elisa, I'd like to make a motion to approve the May 22nd.
Can I make a comment real quick on it?
Oh, sure.
Our first statement where it says notice. Note, this is not verbatim. Can we change that where it says the recording of the meeting is on file and available from City Hall, and change it to you can watch it live and that, and or watch it on YouTube later?
So you want to add that?
Just
last-
I just, yeah, make the change to
And because that is on here, a recording of the minutes.
down
on
further,
file
yeah.
and
But
available from- Oh, I see
in
what you're
the-
saying.
See that top
Right.
sentence up there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes. So what exactly do you want to say?
I just want to add to that they can watch it live. Where it's just the statement down here, here's a statement somewhere down here about where you can watch it live or you can watch it on YouTube.
The statement
see
is
the
on our agenda.
Oh, it's on the agenda,
It's on the
okay.
agenda that there's.
Right, it's the.
But I can add that verbiage to the.
Okay. So do
Do
you?
we need to even make a motion on that? or-
Yes, we're changing that.
Okay, so I make a
Yes.
motion, we
Oh, wait,
change.
Yeah, we have.
I'll wait, go ahead.
We have a pending
Oh,
motion
okay,
already
okay.
for the proposed amendments that we discussed earlier. So you can make a total motion to implement your changes in addition to the ones that were proposed.
Okay, I think I got that. So I'd like to make a motion that we change the first sentence, adding that we can watch it live or on YouTube later. And I'd like to also add that the changes on number 9. Here you can see the changes are in red, they news and everything, that we accept that. Those changes as are.
I'd like to second the motion to revise the first sentence in the June meeting minutes to add what Judy said.
And May minutes to add, we can watch it, they can watch it live or on YouTube.
No,
later.
we're not amending May 22nd. We're adding it to,
I thought you were referring to May
yeah,
22nd.
no,
Isn't this in relation to the approved minutes?
I guess, may I ask clarification?
yeah,
So the request that Judy made for adding the line about being able to watch it. You would like that in the May minutes?
Up
or
at the
you'd
top
like-
line.
Or you'd like to start next time?
yeah,
It can start next time. But,
Yeah.
yeah, either way, I'm okay with it.
exactly. So I gotta go back.
Let's go back to the
Yes.
original motion.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, so the original motion is to accept the May 22nd, 2025 minutes
well, we have the change on the back, we have to,
as amended. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah, I made the original motion, so I'd be glad to second it if you're making a motion now.
Okay. All in favor? Do we have any discussion about this? All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion is approved. And next. No, no, no.
Now, do I need to make it?
I think we can
Can
just
she
make
just-
it a practice going forward.
Okay,
Need
that's,
to make a
okay.
motion.
That's what I was kind of trying to, yeah.
All right. Next, we have staff report.
So the biggest news that I have, my life has been consumed with our comprehensive plan update. And June was the final month for submitting deliverables for 2 grants. So we delivered on time all of our climate resistance deliverables, which was the hazard mitigation plan and a crisis communication plan. Among other things, smaller things. And then for our periodic update grant, we delivered our public participation plan, our work plan, our land capacity analysis, our periodic update checklist, and our critical areas checklist. And so we got all those submitted and we got a thumbs up on everything and we received the money this week. So it was 100,000 for climate resilience and 62,500 for the periodic update grant. So yay for us. So very happy that that all went smoothly. So and so the periodic update grant, we actually have 2 more years on that additional monies for the grant. So it's another 62,500, but it's been broken up into 2 years. I think it's an 80-20, although I can't remember for sure. So this next year we'll see that first portion that we'll have deliverables towards. And then because our update got extended to December, of 2026 rather than June. They're giving, or they made it 2 years, and so there's a little bit of money for the end of that. So that is where we're at on all those grants and deliverables, and I got past that deadline, so I'm super happy. The land capacity analysis is actually in your packet, the final one. So I'm done with my staff report, and
We're gonna be moving on to scheduled items. Which is you too.
which is me too. So we'll just flow right into the next one, which is the land capacity analysis. Yep. So you have this in your packet, and I apologize. The version that was in your packet, the last page had been revised, and I sent the incorrect version. So that's why you have another copy in front of you. So correct version. Am I still doing down arrow? I can control the volume.
It's moving the arrow.
I see that. I'm controlling the arrow, but I can't make the slide change. Sorry. Okay, so you have the land capacity analysis in your packet in the new version in front of you. And I'm not going to go over this in great detail because I did that back, I think, in November. And I'm pretty sure I made everyone fall asleep, including poor Roxanne. So today, if you have any questions, please bring them up. But I'm just going to go over very briefly, summarize.
Roxanne never sleeps.
So this first slide, so land capacity analysis is all about future growth and how many people we can how much capacity our city has for additional population. So to look at the past, our city population grew a lot in the early 2000s and then plateaued a bit. Our population looks like it went down, but it didn't really go down. It was the way the state counted things. So it removed, the state stopped counting the Westlake Village residents in our population count. So we had a drop in between 2010 and 2011. And then of course, the Gray Fire made our population drop a little bit because temporarily those residents were displaced. And then the institutional population, so the 3 institutions we have up at the state properties, those have been reducing in numbers of population also. So you can see in the second graph up there that back in 2000, 26% of our population was institutionalized, where at this point, or excuse me, in 2020, we had 9%. So the difference, there's a large difference there. So this is important to what I'm about to talk about because we get allocated a certain population. So the state gives numbers to the county, and then the county looks at all the jurisdictions and the unincorporated land and assigns populations for the next 20 years of growth. And because our population looks like it's decreased, they gave us a very small number to accommodate. So if we go to the next slide, this is a table where it shows how the county allocated, and I was part of this process. So there's a advisory committee that planners for every jurisdiction participates in. And the way this was done was basically you get the allocation that is similar to the amount of growth that you've seen in the past. So even though the committee was aware of what circumstance we had, we still received the 244 as our expected population increase in the next 20 years. I think everyone can be comfortable thinking that that would be pretty low in the next 20 years. The next slide. So when we look at our city and what capacity we have for growth, It starts by categorizing all our land with our zones. So, you know, you're all familiar with our zoning map. And this is heavily on the residential side of things. Commercial plays a little piece of it, but it's heavily residential in this. So first we look at all the land by zone. And in our case, we remove public land first. Normally that would be a later stage, but more than half of our land in the city limits is owned publicly. More than half is actually owned by the state. So the state does not have any plans at this time to build an additional institution. They only do a 5-year projection. So in the next 5 years, at least it's not on the books to build an additional or add on to any institutions that they have right now. So removing all public land, and in the document you have, you can go through and, you know, there's a little table for each one of these pieces, but I'm just not going to go through the numbers because apparently numbers put people to sleep. So if you have any questions about the numbers, I'll help you. I'm just going to cover generally how we do this. So we've removed public land, and then we remove all the land that's built to capacity per our code, right? So if we have a house on a property that is not big enough to divide, that's considered built out. A commercial property with a viable business on it that's considered built out. So we remove all that, and then we have to categorize all the remaining as vacant. I think everybody can understand what vacant means. And then there's partially utilized and underutilized. And so one of those is when you can add more units, and the other is dividing land. And so that's, so then we start to look at, so if it's multifamily, can you add more units to that property? If it's single family or 2-family, can you divide that land and put more units? So then we look at land with physical limitations. So if a property is majority wetland and wetland buffers, if it is steeply sloping, if it's underwater, we have a few of those properties that are underwater, things like that. Also properties that are very, very small or very, very narrow, that they can't actually have development on them because of their size. We just remove those right away. Then we analyze the remaining property based on density. So we have our we have 4 residential zones, but R1 and R1P are the same standards. So we look at the density of all those. So R1, it's 1 unit per, 7.3 units per acre. So you basically do a calculation on how many units you could get. But because we're so small, I can actually look at each individual property. Bigger jurisdictions are just taking the number as a whole, but I can look at each property and I can say, does this property have any wetlands on it? Is this property big enough that when it develops, they're going to have to put streets in? And then I do a calculation to remove wetlands, wetland buffers, and infrastructure streets, essentially. So then we get a more precise number about how many units we can actually have on a property. And then number 6 there, remove the market factor. So all of these, this methodology is laid out by the county. The county, also part of that committee I'm on, works with the steering committee of elected officials, which also reports to the Board of Commissioners for the county. So it's a little chain here. And so these are adopted methodology for land capacity analysis for all of Spokane County. So there's something called a market factor. So at any given time, certain properties or percentage of properties are just not going to be available for development because the people that own them are not interested in developing or selling for development. And that number that the county gave us is 30%. So after I've looked at all the properties and how much can be built, you just take off the top 30% and then you end up with the final number. And that final number we compare to what the county gave us. So next slide. So that top table there is just the final numbers, which you can find in your packet. And basically, we could accommodate potentially 293 units in the city. And then our average household size per the Office of Financial Management is 2.54 people per household. So the simple math of multiplying the 293 units by the 2.54 people, we get 744 people. And so we compare that to the allocation for the county, which is 244. So essentially, we have no problem accommodating this very small number of people. So that is the basics of the land capacity analysis. However, this has larger implications. So we, as a city, believe like we can help our area, the Spokane area, with supplying housing. So we, as a city, we can supply wastewater treatment, water to serve homes, and we have good streets that are not clogged with traffic. So we can provide, and that's why we are looking at the urban growth areas that surround our area. So looking to the north, the area just north of Fox Hollow, that is currently in the UGA. It's quite a large spot, and we're asking to reduce it some, but keeping potential annexation area up there in the UGA. And we have also requested to look at land between the city and Silver Lake area. And that land is specifically to help with infrastructure for the Silver Lake area to provide water and sewer, and transportation, more ins and outs. So we did our work as required by the county and the state, but we don't want it to end there. We don't want to say like, okay, we can do it, no problem. We don't have to have any more conversation. We want to continue that conversation about the future and what we as a city really can provide for the Spokane County area and the housing that is needed.
When I first got on the planning commission, I talked to the building inspector, asked him, what was the capacity for new development with respect to sewer and water, and he said sewer was great, but water was pretty tight. Could you address that?
Yes, so I believe previous leadership had a no growth attitude, and therefore led people to believe that we did not have water capacity, but we have the water rights to serve
Oh, really?
a large population. Yeah.
Good.
It's not a concern.
Did we get the intertie? Is the intertied with Spokane?
We do have an intertie. Like
Okay.
for instance, during the Great Fire, that was used.
Okay. Good thing.
I'm not the best person to speak on that.
Yeah, I'll ask Sunny.
Any other questions?
Will we be able to discuss any of the questions in your survey?
Yeah, that's my next presentation.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay, so you can turn off the presentation, and if there,
We talked about me asking that before.
are there any other questions about that? And you can always ask me, call me anytime if you have questions. So the other presentation is about the survey that we just closed that has been open for a month, approximately May 21st through June 23rd. This is the flyer that we've handed out. It was also on our website. It was in the Conversations About Community newsletter. It was in our community newsletter that goes out in our utility bill. We handed out a bunch of them at Founders Day. So we received 101 responses for the communication preferences survey and 77 for the pulse of the community survey. I'm not totally sure why they're different numbers, other than either people got tired of doing a survey or they didn't realize there were two of them. If they were, it was advertised on Facebook, so people might not have always seen that there were two surveys. So what's in your packet was the briefest of summaries and mostly graphics for especially the communication survey. to give you an idea, but I'm working on the full summary and takeaways from these two, which I will be providing at a later date. I'm trying to get them finished so we can post them on our website, because the flyer that we handed out said we would be doing that by the end of June, which is very, very close. But I want to go over, I'm not going to go over all the graphs that you have in the packet, but I'll go to the next slide. And I'm just gonna, looks like it ran off the page there. Briefly summarize what the two surveys said. So this first one, the communication preferences survey. The majority, so I'm saying majority of respondents. So there's all kinds of responses and lots of good ideas and lots of good takeaways. And by no means am I discounting those people who were in the minority, because lots of that was good information also. But I didn't want to go through every little detail tonight. So I'm just going to give you an overview of the majority of responses. So most people are receiving information from the city, from social media, the city newsletter, and word of mouth. They'd like to receive information via email, Facebook, and the city newsletter. They'd like to see monthly communications at the least. And they say the level of communication they're getting right now is sort of mid to good. A lot of people that responded said they engage with the city's Facebook page. However, remember that we were advertising on Facebook, so it could be a lot of those people replying were already on Facebook, so it's hard to get a good idea of how many people are using Facebook via this particular survey. And number 6 there, respondents say city information is mostly clear and easy to understand. Number 7, they prefer text alerts for emergencies. That makes sense. That was not a surprise. So if you didn't know it, we have text alerts. So you can sign up. On our website, you can sign up. I also have a QR code that you can scan to sign up. But those text alerts are for emergencies and other, immediate information, street closures, things like that we need to get the word out right away. Number 8, respondents are mildly confident that the information that can be quickly accessed in an emergency. So a lot of those comments were, of course, about the Gray Fire. At that time, we didn't have a text alert system. So they were depending on social media and information. They were getting text alerts from other services. And, we were all there to experience it. Some had good experiences and some had less than good experiences, depending what kind of alerts they were getting. So that hopefully will be better in the future. And I mentioned earlier that grant, part of it is a crisis communication plan. So we're working on implementing that plan to make our communication better in a crisis. Number 9, people generally responded that they weren't sure where to find emergency information to quickly access in an emergency. Like, should they go to our website? Should they check our Facebook page? Will they be getting an email? Will they be getting a text alert? So because of the last experience, they just weren't confident they could find the information they need, because last time they didn't necessarily find the information they needed. And some suggested that information was conflicting. So they want a source they can trust, basically. Number 10, most people believe that the city is listening to their concerns. And they said this because they've seen positive outcomes after expressing concerns. So that was really good to hear. Number 12, they generally trust the information that's coming from the city. And their suggestions were having information in small, digestible bites, because it's 2025 and we can only take things in a little piece at a time. But I think that's a really good suggestion, along with the many, many others. I'm gonna go on to the other survey in a minute, but we can chat about this one. And this survey was not just for the comprehensive plan. It's good information for me, but it's also just all communications with the city. So do you have any comments, concerns, questions about this survey about communication?
I'm wondering if there's a way we can get more people to respond.
We're not going to on this particular one. So 101 responses was pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we did for a month and we tried a bunch of different avenues. So as time goes on with our periodic update, then we will have other methods. So there could be another survey in the future, but I don't want to wear people out on surveys. So, you know, we'll try different methods to get information. For instance, we do the question of the week on Facebook. Is just one of the things we're doing continuously. Yep.
With regards to the pulse of the community, I don't remember what it was called exactly, but question number 5, what do you feel is missing in Medical Lake? A lot of people wish that there, and I've heard this a number of times talking to people, that there were more restaurants. A conventional wisdom is that the population is not great enough, you know, for more restaurants, but that's actually not true. Multiple restaurants together increase a gravitational pull such that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I was talking with Aaron Quigley about that, and he agreed. He said his business was better when the bakery was open. And that bar on Lake Street, you know which bar, I've never been in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so I think that is something that, I don't know, you know, if there's some way that we can enhance, attract restaurant tours to Medical Lake. The problem is that I have a son who is a chef and has managed restaurants, and you know, you have to have a good location. You have to have either excellent visibility and exposure, which is why Airway Heights has so many restaurants are along their strip there, or you have to have a destination location. And perhaps at some point in the future, we can talk about the possibility of hospitality facility and restaurants on the lake. The second thing I wanted to mention, I'm not going to go to that yet. What worried people was one of the things was homelessness. Homeless people being around. Do we have vacancy laws? Is that even allowed anymore?
I don't think we do as a city. We don't have anything in our municipal code that speaks to that, I don't believe. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. And I don't know at a state level what laws are, so I can't speak to that.
Okay. Well, as far as these things are concerned, I'll just talk to you later.
Okay. I can't see Kevin. Did he have any question or?
If he can unmute himself.
Oh,
Yeah, no questions from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go on to the Pulse of the Community survey then. So once again, just you have it in front of you with a little more information, but this is quick rundown. Majority of the respondents agree with the vision and mission statements of Healing Water Strategic Plan. So it didn't actually say it in the survey, but it says, do you agree with this statement? And the first statement is in fact the vision statement from our Healing Waters Strategic Plan. And the second statement is the mission statement from our Healing Waters Strategic Plan. So it was good to see the majority of people agreed with both. There were a few less on the second statement. And most of the comments for that one, which number 2 on the slide is that they don't see a flourishing downtown. So that second statement, which I don't have the language right in front of me, talks about a flourishing city, residential and commercial, right? And so everyone sees our downtown that's struggling and they're like, is it flourishing? But you have to remember, like, this is our mission. It's not a description of things right now. And I want to take a little side note on that, which if you're not aware, the city had passed a vacant property ordinance a little while back. I don't know the exact timeline, year and a half. And that's active when business owner or property owners, excuse me, downtown have buildings sitting empty. They receive notification from the city that if they don't fill the space in a certain amount of time, they will receive a fine from the city. And the purpose of this is to give an incentive for them to either rent out the space or sell the property if they're not interested in renting out the space. So we have seen some improvements downtown, and you will see signs in windows that say who the property owner or manager is and how to contact them if you're interested in that property. At least one property has a for sale sign. The old beauty school has a for sale sign in the window. The little building on Jefferson that is sort of behind the ECAP building, a little yellow house. Somebody said it used to be a pottery, something or another that's been vacant for a long time. That one went up for sale and was purchased recently. So we'll most likely see some movement over there. So that's exactly what we're hoping for with our vacant properties ordinance. So it's, you know, things move slowly, but it's a positive direction. Number 3, what people want to keep about our city, what they love about it, not surprisingly, that small town feel and the natural beauty of our lakes and our wetlands and forests. So there's, like I said, there was a lot of responses that were really wonderful that I will capture in a more detailed summary, but generally that's what people were saying. Number 4, what they'd like to see. What's missing from our community, they'd like to see more businesses and a community center. And I mean, I think any resident, well, most residents in this town are going to say, yes, we would like to see more businesses. We'd like to see more restaurants. And many are talking about some kind of community center, recreation center they'd like to see in the city. Number 5, people were hoping for more pride in ownership. We've talked about this in this room before. Property owners, commercial or residential, that are not taking care of their properties. People generally would like to see more pride in that. And then also more of a police presence in town. Number 6, what they're concerned about in the future is uncontrolled growth and increased crime. But even with that, most of the folks that responded are optimistic about Medical Lake's future. So that was really good to hear. So Carl already gave me a couple of questions. Does anybody have any questions or comments about this particular? I'll let you know via email when I have the summary ready. A more detailed summary.
Well, going back a couple of years, I used the phrase diamond in the rough. I think we're gradually heading in that direction, but it's gonna take a while.
Not as rough.
I'm sorry?
I said we're not as rough.
Yeah. Some of the dirt's gone.
The new street work and the lights and the plants and the trees, that's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Just in time for Founder's Day.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. And a shout out to Scott Duncan, our Public Works Director, who, you know, oversaw that as we hired contractors to do it, of course, but he made sure that everything was happening with that. And he worked tirelessly for weeks getting that all ready for Founder's Day. Any other?
Well, just one thing, what do you wish would change about Medical Lake? And they express a desire to have residents and businesses take better care of their properties. And that kind of leads into something that we'll discuss in a little bit. I think we need to have design standards, but I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Okay. So the next step in you all have that little sheet that looked like a little theater. So we are coming to a conclusion in phase 1 and the idea phase and moving into the concept phase. So the steering committee, which Carl represents, Planning Commission, is in a couple weeks. And so we'll be going over survey results and talking about the next step for public outreach and what we want to accomplish. So next time I'll have more to report on where we are with that. Any questions about the overall periodic update? Okay, stay posted then. Okay, that is all for me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next,
Yeah, this is very professional. Thank you.
next is downtown park name.
Okay. I talked to the head of Parks and Recs, went in his office, talked with him for a while, and he brought it up at the meeting, the Parks and Recs meeting, and they all decided it wasn't for them right now. They didn't think it was, they thought they had more important things to do, and that the name of the park is kind of historical, and that, so they have elected not to do anything with it. So if we're gonna do anything with it, it would be us. And that, so we need to think about that. My opinion is, I kind of agree, it's historical. We got more important things to do, to look at and that and stuff, but that's just my opinion. So,
I agree, Judy.
do you
Yeah.
comments?
I don't,
I know.
it ain't Coney Island.
No, it isn't.
It isn't.
Coming from New York, I can say it definitely is not, but, and that, any comments up there?
Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the reluctance to keep the Coney Island or Coney Island Park name. I guess I don't see any compelling motion to change it that we could implement. I mean, I suppose we could make a recommendation to the city council, but I would be surprised if they didn't refer it back to the Parks Board. It is a park. But I think the history of the area is important, and if Coney Island Park helps maintain some of that history, I can live with it. I certainly can think that we would find a better name for it if we started from scratch. I just question if that's our job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
No.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is design standards.
I've talked about design standards in past meetings. I think, based on the proper protocol for approaching design standards, we might be just wasting time now talking about it. I need to talk with Elisa more about that.
Okay,
So I'd like to, can I table it, or how should we go about this?
I think that just bringing it up when you need to in the commissioners' comments and concerns portion instead of tabling it and leaving it on the agenda.
Very well, let's do that.
okay, I don't think we have to make a motion for that. All right, good. So we have no public hearing today. Commissioners, do we have any comments or concerns outside of what we've already talked about?
I have a question.
Sure.
And again, it falls into what is the purview of the planning commission. So there's a house on LaFave just as you come into town that is kind of a mess. And it had a fence, and the fence is now torn down and piled up in the side of the yard. It looks like a fire hazard. Is that anywhere in our bailiwick, or is that somebody else taking care of stuff like that, or at least addressing issues like that? That's my question.
I have brought that up 3 times to this planning commission, and we do have a code enforcement person who is working with properties like that and that property. I noticed that it wasn't moving very far, and I was actually going to call them today, but I got a little distracted about something else. Elisa seems to have another response, so that's good.
Yeah, Andy covered it well. Like, it is one of our, it's being dealt with by our code enforcement officer, and it's, you can't really tell it, but really progress has been made. The the responsible party has changed, a different member of the family. It's just a slow moving, hopefully one day, better looking property, but it's being dealt with.
Yeah, I noticed someone walking around there. I don't usually see people there. There was
Yeah.
someone, a younger person walking around there today. And it did look a little different.
Yeah. It looked a little better for a while, then a little worse for a while, but now it's kind of, yeah.
A little better, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I would take it a little farther and ask whether we could have the code enforcement officer give us a report on what's going on at the next meeting.
Yeah, we have,
Does Sunny want to address that?
My only hesitation is the privacy of what's happening with that particular owner and family. I can
I
inquire.
just don't know what the framework even is for,
I could certainly invite the
The code
code
enforcement.
officer to give a presentation about how he does his work.
I think it'd be valuable for us to understand the parameters of what code enforcement can and can't do.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Do we need to add that to the agenda?
I will add it if, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
welcome. We have interested citizens. Diane, do you have any comments or concerns you would like to bring up?
Raise hand or anything.
I'll take that as a no.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Well, then. I make the motion that we adjourn. Do I
I'll
have a
second it.
second? Any discussion? No discussion. So moved. Thank you.
Favor?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have this in my notes. I can't read my notes because they're too far away. All right, yes, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oh.
Thank you, Andy. Thanks for chairing.
You're welcome.
Good night, all. Take care.